Good evening, good evening, good evening. We're glad to be with you. It's been a minute. I've been in front of the camera, but it's been a minute since I've been doing the Let's Chat. And so and we're not officially bringing it back, just as a matter of notation. This time next week, myself and my dear friend and brother, uh, uh, um, Elder David McGee, will be right back here. We'll be broadcasting. You'll see a different logo. I guess it's on this side of me, over my head, but you'll see a different logo for Christian Believers Fellowship. Victory in Christ Broadcasting Channel is my ministry YouTube channel that I have, but so it's a different branding, and we're on that YouTube page for those who follow me on that page. But we'll be right back to work next Wednesday doing our thing. This is the first, and so we took a holiday, but obviously my holidays tend to be work days, which is kind of how I like to roll. But that being said, let's get into this. It's never going to be my intent to be before you a long time. But I wanted to address this matter. I have actually addressed this, excuse me, on the Let's Chat broadcast before. I have several videos about singles and all that kind of but I just wanted to kind of connect this to clearly this being the first of the year for 2025, and just bring some points forward. And so we don't have to go back to those previous broadcasts. If you like, I would encourage you to connect to my Victory in Christ broadcast YouTube channel, and you'll be able to easily look through the catalog and see a series of broadcasts I've done on being single and being married and all those things. So it brings me next to this. I got a few things I got to do up front that I can move on. I am single, and I'm going to give the particulars. As of November 23rd, 2015, when I became single, my marriage essentially ended. And so as of November 23rd, and let me apologize now. This is the first, and there's still people popping firecrackers and things of that nature. So if you hear that in the backdrop, there's nothing I can do to get them to stop. But so as of November 23rd, I officially made 9.5 years single, and obviously come May 23rd, 2025, will be 10 years, 10 years single. Nothing I just said I say with joy or sadness. It's just the reality. I am single. Now, this single life that I am living follows a married life. And in truth, you're talking about marriage going from the age of 19, and I'm not talking about the marriage, but a married life. I was married at 19. I've talked about this openly. Those who get a little shaky, who've never watched my broadcast, I do talk about some of these things openly. But I was married at 19. That marriage went from 1993 to 2000. I got married again in 2001. And essentially that marriage off and on, breaking up, getting back together. So I've done broadcast on stuff like that. I've been there, done that. I've done broadcast on divorce. Because I have my relational life is a mixed bag. Okay. So I was second marriage, basically from 2001 to 2007, covering those span of years, and then married my son's mother in 2008, and was in that relationship, as already stated, until 2015. So covering much of my adult life, but the last a little over 9.5 years, I have been single. So I so happen to have a relational history where I can talk about being married, I can talk about being single, and I've been single long enough now to have passed through some of the stages, and I'm not going to get into that tonight. Some of the stages I think we can go through as single people, which probably be a broadcast I probably should do. some of the stages that people go through when you're single. Very similar to when you're married. You have certain stages that you pass through and all that kind of thing. Good evening to you. Now, I do have both YouTube and I'm simulcasting. I'm broadcasting to YouTube and to Facebook. So I will be able to kind of bounce back and forth and see the comments. I'll interact as much as I can with dialogue. I just ask, of course, you be respectful, whether on YouTube or Facebook, and kind of stay with me. If you end up getting into a conversation with each other, that's fine, but I may not be able to engage them. That said, that's a little bit of my history. Let me also say this. I am a Christian. I know there's going to be Christians who either watch this live or watch this back. Let me say to you, my dear friends who are Christians, love you, love you. One of the reasons why Christians will oftentimes not engage this subject in terms of broadcasting is because of their Christian audience. Not because they're afraid to do so. A lot of times it's because their Christian audience can be varied. There are Christians who are quite, I don't want to use the way they politicized it, but who are forward thinking, and I like to just say who are truthists. I'm a truthist. I'm not a realist. I'm a truthist. In other words, what's the truth? Okay, there's my opinion, your opinion, but what's the truth? I tend to like to speak things that lend itself to being able to be corroborated. So that's not my opinion, even though I'm talking, and so you hear me giving what you would call my opinion, yes, but ultimately, I want you to weigh what I'm saying against facts. What's the facts? What's the potential truth here? And then you will see if Gabe is a truth teller, yes or no. So you can weigh what I'm saying against what the facts are. My son would say the facts, the facts, the facts. So yes, these are my observations. These are my opinions, but weigh what I'm saying not against your opinion, but weigh what I'm saying against what you know to be the facts. Okay? Now, why do I say to my Christian brothers and sisters? Because to be able to stay factual, I'm going to have to address topics within the confines of single life that you're not going to like. Let me give you the big one right out the box. And so everybody can be nervous and start sweating and clutching pearls right away. We're not going to even kid game this. And that's sex outside of marriage. Are you still breathing? You're okay? I may have to borrow Sir Walter Jones's phrase, come close. Yeah, come close. I want to encourage you to buckle up. If you're going to decide to continue to watch this broadcast after what I just said, okay, good. I hope you do stick around. But I'm going to tell you something that's the fact. Sex occurs outside of marriage. And yes, without getting to anybody's specific business, it does occur even with Christians. Now, for those Christians who just joined, and you heard me say that, and you want to get into the comment section, and you want to type your little fingers till they hurt, I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to address this matter, and you can get into an argument with yourself about the Bible. Now, I've been in ministry for over 30 years. I am by no means a biblical expert. I am not an apologist. I am not a theologian. I didn't go to seminary. But I am keenly aware in Exodus chapter 20, for those who want to go read it, thou shalt not commit adultery and fornication. I'm keenly aware that sex outside of marriage is, I'm going to say it, you okay? A sin. Does it change what I just said? No. I'm also keenly aware about pride, but I know a lot of Christians who suffer with pride. And none of y'all quote that stuff. For destruction of Holy Spirit for all. So before you start quoting and typing on my broadcast about adultery, you better type about pride and all that other stuff. Because the Bible says if you're guilty in one, you're guilty in all. The fact of the matter is, there are grown men and women who claim to be Christian, consider themselves to be Christian, who have lovely relations outside of marriage. And given the fact this has been happening even before the law, throughout the law, and in this time of grace, I might as well address it because it is a thing. It is a thing. That it. I know some of you just fainted and God had to wake you up from your passing out. I understand. That said, do not call me, do not text me, do not email me, do not ask me questions in the comment section about me. While I am transparent, these broadcasts are not for you to try to lean in. If I share something about me on this broadcast, that's what you asked me about. But because I said the sex word, because some Christians are so pure they can't even say it out loud, sex. Now you think that gives you some permission because you have my number. By the way, for those who don't know, my number is connected to my Facebook page. So everybody who chooses to look at my profile has my number. Please do not walk away from this broadcast going, I have Gabe's number exclusively. I've been in ministry for 30 years. I've had the same number for the better part of the last 9, almost 10 years. My number is widely known to those who want to know it. So you don't have any kind of inroad to me. Please don't think you do. I like to do this because I know people go, I'm going to text him later, like you would be the only one texting me. My email is literally scrolling across the bottom. And I get emails on my phone like text messages. Oops, that's how smart built now. So an email is the equivalent of a text message. So let me say it again, because I understand some people struggle with things like this. I don't talk about my private life. Now, I leave it up to you to try to figure out what you think that means. Because I'm not compelled to speak to what I don't speak to. I just assume respectful people get my point and we can move on. I'm going to talk about these subjects, but don't try to figure out which ones relate to Gabe. I'll tell you the ones that directly relate to me that I want you to know about. And just because I'm broadcasting doesn't mean you get to probe and find out all that there is to know. Now, for anyone who knows me beyond this camera, if you choose to put something in the comment section that you know or you think you know, that's your business. It doesn't mean, no matter how truthful, factual it is, I'm going to answer it. You have to understand I'm not trying to go viral. You have to understand you can't intimidate me. You have to understand my career, my life is not built in me being famous or known or anything like that. It's just not. It's just not. Even in ministry. I just got through telling you I was married 3 times. So do you think that you're going to say something that causes my whole world to crumble? You don't know me very well, do you? So if you so happen to know some particular detail over covering the last 32 years of adult life, great, good for you. I don't feel any kind of way, and if I wasn't an insomniac, I would sleep, I'm sure, very well. I'm sure. But I am still not going to get into something private to me to try to answer if you choose to do that. Okay? So you got to do these things for those who don't broadcast, so you don't really know why I have to say all this stuff, because those of us who do broadcast, I've been broadcasting, believe it or not, for well over 10 years. I'm just not famous. I'm not trying to be. So I don't scare almost at all, which is probably a problem, and that needs to be addressed at some point in time. And please understand, on my Facebook page is mom, dad, sister, brother, niece, aunts, uncles, people I've known since high school, people who attend the place where I play for the worship team. There's all kinds of people on my Facebook page. People who are current to my life, people who are past to my life, people of great significance to me. And I said what I said, and I want you to notice how steady my hand is. It's not shaking. I'm not nervous in any way. Like I said, I've done broadcasts on this topic already. It doesn't change the fact that even Christians have lovely relations outside of marriage. And because it actually happens, even Christians get divorced because Christians can get divorced. because Christians can have lovely relations outside of marriage. That we have to, if we're going to help anybody, we have to actually talk about the reality of that. Now, nobody's sitting there with you unless you're choosing to watch this with someone for whatever reason. So you ain't got to get on here and tell nobody your business either. I would hope that you wouldn't do that. Now, you want to have a time of confession because something I say is convicting? Well, then contact me privately if you want to say, "Gabe, I was doing this and I know I shouldn't have did it." Then you can do that, and I'll go into Pastor Gabe mode and we'll work with that. But let me say this: whether I'm in Gabe mode or Pastor Gabe mode or Elder Gabe mode or Teacher Gabe, I have no judgment to pass on anyone. Because the good book, now I know there may be some unbelievers watching, but the good book says, "Judge no man before his time." That judgment there is talking about final judgment. So if you feel convicted about something that you've done recently or once upon a time, I suggest, I'm praying with you and for you, go to God, because he's the final judge. That's what I'm going to say that right there. Okay? Okay? I forgive you. I don't know if that matters, but you're exonerated in my eyes because Jesus died for your sin. So are you good now? Did you need to hear that from a preacher or a pastor or whatever? Okay, you put on my preacher hat. You are forgiven. You feel better? Can I go on? Okay, good. I got to do this. I see my brothers watching. I got to do this because Christians are some of the tightest individuals. And I'm going to do my best to be nice. I'm going to really try. I pray, oh Heavenly Father, please help me to be nice on this evening. I don't know how long that's going to last, so I need you to pray with me so I can try to be nice. I'll get good evening. So, all that said, it took 20 minutes, whatever it is. Let's get into this reality. The first thing I want to say about single life is, and I think this is what we're going to end up spending most of the time, is I'm going to use the words from my day job. My day job is mental health, as most of you know. Before you set your resolution, some of you already did, you couldn't help yourself. Before you determine that this year, I'm tired of being single, I told you, I'm coming to the end of 10 years, right? So before you, I'm tired, Dave. I'm going to get a relationship. I'm going to get a relationship. Let me bring my day job, which is mental health. Stay with me. I'm not analyzing you. I want to encourage you, and I'm going to use something from my day job. And this is something that has happened to me. So clearly, I'm not going to speak about this, and this hasn't happened to me. Now, you know I'm transparent. I've already shared quite a bit already. And that is the need for self-awareness. I'm going to just give you a moment because some of this stuff is hard. It's going to be difficult to swallow. But self-awareness. Self-awareness. Just good old-fashioned know thyself. Now, I just sounded like the Matrix. Know thyself. Isn't that what the sign said over the door? Know thyself. And his struggle, since I'm using that reference to the Matrix, was not in what he was called or to do, whatever term you want to use. It was in him dealing with himself about what he had to do. So if you are a man or woman who is single watching me, even if you're in a marriage, I may say some things even tonight for you. The biggest issue that I had when my marriage, this is why I told you my history, when my marriage ended, May 23rd, 2015, was not the emotion behind the death of my marriage. Because separation, another word for separation biblically is death. Okay? The wages of sin is separation or death because you're separated from God, right? So the biggest issue was not the death of the marriage. The biggest issue was I really had no idea who I was. As confident as I have been my entire life, even maybe foolishly confident, even arrogantly confident. What I really didn't have was self-awareness. And I can tell you, I didn't go to counseling, and I'm not going to get into that tonight, because I also have coworkers who are on my Facebook page as well. And I have a certain view of counseling when it comes to me. I think it's a great thing, and I'm actually going to suggest it here in a minute. But just when it comes to me, I'm not above it. I just didn't need it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because most of us, because we don't read our Bibles, we don't realize that I believe King James translates, and I will send you another comforter. But also, some English translations, another counselor. It just so happened I didn't have to go pay somebody money. He was already living in me and with me, and trust me, from day one, May 23rd, literally going forward to this very day, he has been counseling me. So there was no need for me to go to a human being, because God took his liberty to give me counsel. Okay. And I assure you, unlike my coworkers who are licensed counselors, my brother will attest to this. He's far more pervasive, invasive. You can't keep him out of parts of your life. You just can't, unless you're just not his. So the first 2 or 3 years of single life, God was all in there, and I could not get him out. And there were times I didn't want him to go out, but I wanted him to be quiet, and he wouldn't be quiet. Well, what was he talking to me about? He was talking to me about me. Not all of the conversation was about me, but a lot of it was. Now, I've talked about this on the Christian Believers Fellowship side. Let me bring it over here. The more you get to know God, which is what I want to get to know God, because I'm going through it. I'm hurting. So I would get to know God, and he's like, cool. And the more I was getting to know him, the more he was reflecting back to me what I didn't know about me. So when I say self-awareness, oh, yeah, absolutely. So when I say self-awareness, it's not me on a journey. Listen to me, and ladies in particular, stay with me. This was not, and I'm going to tell you why I said ladies, this was not me on a journey of self-discovery, where I went off into a journey in my mind. I've talked about this stuff openly. I didn't go into some self-journey. I didn't go into yoga and meditation, and no disrespect to my job. Again, I didn't go into meditation and chakras and burning incense. And I don't have nothing against burning incense in and of itself. Not an evil thing. But I didn't go into herbs and trying to get off into things, trying to discover me. No, he brought me to me point blank in my face. Now, he was gracious that he brought me to me, as the one bringing me to me was him. Because if I would have done it, listen to me, I'm trying to help somebody, whether you're a Christian or not. If you go off into a self-discovery journey, let me tell you what happens. Let me tell you what really happens, and people are not going to be honest, but I will. You get off into a space that you get comfortable with. How do you think you can live with trauma and never get counseling? See, I told you not to get counseling, but you never get me to you as well, sis. You never get counseling for that trauma, because when you're on your own journey of self-discovery, let me tell you what really happens. You only deal with a certain aspect. You don't have the training to really unearth yourself. It's too painful. It's too painful. You're not going to dig into the abuses and the neglect that you went through that fueled the evil that you did. You're not going to do it without help. You're not going to do it. I'm just telling you what I know. You not only are you not going to do it, but you cannot do it. Our minds are too fragile. And so the Lord had to, one, say, Gabe, I'm with you. You're okay. You're not going to die. Okay, Lord, thank you for that. Now let's talk. And every so often he has to remind me, Gabe, you're not going to die. I know it hurts. You're okay. Come here. Let's talk. My porn addiction, which I've talked about openly from the age of 9 until the age of 40, tipping over at 41, was not anybody I was married to's fault. And to some extent, it wasn't even my fault originally because it was introduced to me by those who were not me. I was 9. And there was no social media platform that I was looking at. Eventually I did. So God took me all the way back to 9 years old that I was not mentally capable of doing so that he could walk me up through the things that I did, the magazines I looked at, and the videos I rented, and then social media sites I looked at. So he had to walk me through from 9 years old, looking at the movie Perfect Kid, laying there and they thought I was asleep, but I wasn't, all the way through to the day he was able to take it away from me. Now, that's just one example of the self-awareness process that I've been on. Do you see why I don't need a human counselor? Do you understand? You need more examples? I got plenty. Then this anger stuff that I didn't even really realize was there. But it was driven by the things that was wrong with me. See, you're not ready to hear that because if I say that about me, then you really have to start thinking about you. See, I'm willing to be honest about the fact that one, I'm going to say it out loud. I didn't trust women. After what happened, I didn't. I'm not here to point fingers at anybody. I didn't trust women, and I didn't even necessarily know why I didn't. I just didn't. I had a feeling of distrust. I had a feeling of anger. I had a feeling of frustration. I had a feeling of fear. And those things weren't even altogether attached to anything that I could do. I mean, I could say what happened that ended the marriage. I could say what happened when my cousin put on that movie. I could, and I was 9 years old. I could point to those things, but the problem is that wasn't me coming to the root causes in me. And you know what I discovered? It's fairly simple. I was and am a person who has flesh. And this flesh has a tendency towards debauchery. This flesh has a tendency towards lust. This flesh has a tendency, I'm talking about mine, I'm not talking about yours. My flesh has a tendency towards. So, of course, I took to pornography. I took to pornography just like a person takes to drinking. Just like a person takes to smoking weed or whatever it is. Of course I took to it. Of course I got angry. Of course I had fear issues. Of course I had trust issues. Of course. Because I have flesh issues. And I needed someone, thankfully, since I was the only one here, and I didn't even know any counselors, which is probably why he did it directly. God helped me come to grips with my. Again, I apologize for the noise if you can hear it. God helped me come to grips with this. Because this is what was driving me. This, my flesh. And everybody's flesh doing no good thing. I wonder where I get that from. Men's hearts are evil continually. I know this is a little bit more transparent than you were really looking for because you want to talk about being single. I am talking about being single. All of this happened in my single life. All of this. All of this truth being unearthed in me. I'm just sharing it with you. I had to deal with all of this. I had to deal with even the basic, what it means when I, with these eyes, look at a woman. Gabe, what are you looking at? Again, he's in me. So I couldn't avoid him. Gabe, what are you seeing? Do you know what you're looking at? That woman? Okay, but what does that mean? What does that mean to you? I'm not going to take you through all of that. But understand, this is what I mean by a process of self-awareness. I don't encourage self-discovery because you don't have the capacity. You don't, even if you're a licensed counselor, because you have to deal with the emotions that are always being stirred as you look at things. And that is hard to do. The Lord has positioned me, and I'm going to say this openly because I got some people on here who are familiar with this. Now, He has positioned me to be a help to others to help them do that self-discovery thing. But I'm going to always come from the Bible. And that's just anybody who talks to me, they know that. But even I fall back when it comes to Him because He's the only one that can help you really come. Now, we talking singles like, right? Okay, to come to grips, stay with me, Christians. I know y'all get nervous about your sexuality. I'm gonna just pause for a second because I know some of y'all struggling because I said the word. And I'm not talking about homosexuality. I'm not talking about LGBT, with no disrespect, but they are never who I'm talking about here. But when it comes time for dealing with self-discovery, it's gonna get hot in here. Just stay with me though. I hope y'all stay with me. I hope you can handle it. I only got grown people on my Facebook page. Now YouTube, I can't control. It might be somebody under the age of 18. But on my Facebook page, I don't have no youngsters. I don't think I have anybody even in their 30s. I might, but I doubt it. Everybody else is probably 40 and up on my Facebook page. But one of the things that, and again, listen, don't probe, just listen. That God made me face was my own sexuality. Now, obviously, I like women, but He made me face that. He made me stare it right in the face. For all of you who want to just quote Exodus chapter 20 and Deuteronomy chapter 5, you don't understand that it's better to marry than to burn. And the word burn there is not burn in hell, that is burn in the flesh. That means have a desire to want to have sex. So you don't want to talk real, which is why nobody want to listen to you. But the fact of the matter is, there are many single people who burn the desire to have sex. And marriage is not an immediate option. Oops. Now what happened to you? See, I'm deep in the conversation now. I'm talking about single life. Whether you're a Christian or not, the desire and the passion to have relations is a real thing. Now, how I normally say it in terms of conversation is attraction is its own thing. Now, for those of you who have no attraction to anybody, this ain't going to matter to you. But for those of us who have to live with and sometimes struggle with this whole attracted to someone thing, we have to deal with it. It doesn't mean, therefore, everyone you're attracted to, get married to. See, I don't want to talk plain. You don't want to talk plain. I do. I want to talk plain talk. I've been attracted to a lot of people in my adult life. Should I marry everyone I'm attracted to? No. No, that's absolute nonsense. Again, you're saying attracted to and burning are synonymous. Not exactly, but they're pretty close. They're pretty close. Because for those of you who again know what being attracted to someone is about, don't you feel that warming sensation when you are attracted to someone? You ain't gonna talk to me because burn is literally talking about the physiological. I'm gonna get deep with you for a second. It's literally talking about the physiological changes that happen when you are attracted to something. See, y'all so spiritual you can't think. How do you know, Gabe? Because in the same chapter 7 of 1 Corinthians, he talks about the man and how he handles his virgin. And he said, look, man, you might want to go ahead and marry her, dude. And when I taught this years ago, because the suggestion in the text there is that the dude, because he's burning, he's attracted to his fiance, who is a virgin. That's Bible. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. He's saying, look, man, if you just can't maintain because your public affection is starting to get out of control, look, go ahead and marry. That's literally what he said. You might as well just go ahead and marry because you're struggling. Even though he suggested be single, he recognizes that there are times when you struggle. This is too plain. So now let's back up. Now you see the point of self-awareness. Men and women. I'm not just talking to men. I know I said in the text a man, but understand I'm talking men and women. I've had these conversations over the last 9.5 years with many women and challenge them like I'm challenging you in the process of learning about yourself as a single woman in particular, to engage. I said women, I told you I was coming to you, to engage about where you really are in terms of your sexuality. For example, you get into a long-term relationship or marriage, okay, cool. Now, obviously, I'm a Christian, so I'm going to say marriage, but I'm not going to act like some of y'all don't want to just get into a long-term relationship without marriage. Okay, well, one of the things you're going to have to address is your burning quotient. See what I did there? Your burning quotient. How much burning, how much attraction are you going to be able to handle if you choose not to get married and you are a Christian? How much are you going to be able to handle? See, you don't want me to say it because it seems like I'm saying you have permission to sin. No, I'm just telling you the truth. See, being a single man, and I've been on dating sites and all before, and reading these profiles. Let me just bust this open. Let me just get on somebody's nerves and get in trouble. I always laugh to myself when I read on a single woman's profile, God-fearing woman. Undefined, mind you. I'm a Jesus follower. Now, I don't have a problem with you listing that on your profile, but as a man reading your profile, even though I am a Christian, I can tell you that don't mean nothing because you're really trying to use coded words for something about your sexuality. I said it. I said it. You're mad now, huh? See, all of that, I'm a God-fearing woman, and I'm a Jesus follower, and I attend, now y'all use this word, I don't, church faithfully, and all of that is code for your sexuality. It's what it is. And if that's not what it is, then why don't you spell out what you mean? Why don't you say what you mean? Because I know for a fact in 9 years of being single, don't ask me how I know. I know for a fact it's cold language. Well, matter of fact, I'll tell you how I know. I've had conversations. I've had many. Obviously, I'm not going to say nobody's name, so don't come trying to figure it out. None of your business. I've had enough conversations with enough women over a period of time, and not just a particular a type of woman that I might like. No, I've talked to coworkers. I've worked in many jobs over the last 9 years. I've talked to coworkers. I've talked to people who live in other states. I've talked to people all over, white, black, Mexican. I've talked to older women. I don't really do younger women in conversation, but I've talked to some younger than me, not 20s and 30s, but well, I guess it was 30s back in the day. Now I'm 50 now, so you know I tend not to do too much there. But I've talked to enough range in age to have gotten a good idea that when you put that stuff in your profiles or you wear it on your shirt and on your hats and on your purses or whatever you're doing, and you wear it in your styles or however you're communicating, it's really for a single woman code language. It's code. Now, I'm not telling you, therefore, go and tell every man that might be interested in you your business. No, what I'm saying is you, see, but I start with self-awareness. You have got to, beyond the code language you're using, and I'm just using social media profiles, you've got to actually figure out what that means to you. What does it mean to say, I'm a God-fearing woman and I want a God-fearing man? It means that if we date, there's never going to be any sex. I know I said it. I said it. I said it. I said it. Are you okay? Now, I'm never going to be crass. That's not my thing. But I am going to speak some facts. The reality of it is, from what I've gathered, not talking about anybody specifically, that even the Christian women that I have conversated with on the phone, sitting across from them on a date or whatever, that in many cases, when this subject comes up, and trust me, I don't bring it up. It's amazing. I don't bring it up 99% of the time. I haven't brought it up. They do, because they get to be honest with me. Now, I know you're thinking, well, why don't they just be honest, period? They are, but they got to use code language, and I'm going to come back and slap us in a minute. But before I slap us, let me finish slapping them. The reality of it is, they are using this code speak. So when they can talk to somebody like me, and they go, Jay, can I talk frankly? Yeah, you go ahead and talk, girl. Yeah, see, really, Gabe. And again, nobody's name is attached to this. So you don't know what I'm talking about. But women get real. Some do get a little much, but get real with me and just be like, look, I'm not saying I want to get married again. Y'all see where I'm going with this? Again, I'm not crude. And some just point blank tell me. But I'm not, if it happens, it happens. What are they talking about? Sex. I'm not looking for it, Gabe. But if it's somebody I trust, and if it's somebody, and we have something meaningful, then I'm willing to do it. And at no point in talking directly to me do they say, and I'm married to him. Now again, I know my religious folks, you can't help yourself. I know you can't. I know your brain is about to explode. You may want to step away from the broadcast right here and take some deep breaths and go out in the cool night. It's nighttime here. Go out in the coolness of the night and let some of that air slap you upside your head and wake you up. But for those who are tough enough and can hang with me for a minute, let me talk to you. Let me try to help. I'm not here to judge that. I've already spoken to that. I'm here merely to bring attention to it. Because the biggest issue I see, ladies, is that you're willing to have that conversation with me because I'm safe. Thank you for trusting me. I've actually told women that directly. Thank you for trusting me. But I'm also sitting there going, if you're on a site and you use God-fearing, you assume what he means. He understands what you're saying. And that's the problem. He automatically gets that when you say God-fearing on a dating site, that he's thinking about God-fearing the way you are. How is he supposed to get there? How is he supposed to guess what you mean? Oh, wait. Let me ask this question. And I got the comment section open. I can see both YouTube and Facebook. Is he supposed to guess what you mean by God-fearing? Let me just ask it. Ladies, do y'all want men to guess what you mean about anything you say? About your single life? Do you think that's a recipe for success? Anybody gonna talk to me? This is called Let's Chat. Ladies, I'm asking you. Do you think it's a recipe for success to leave it up to men to guess, especially when you say things like, I'm God-fearing? Let me say this while you're coming up with your answers. That phrase in the Bible is not what y'all mean. You don't even realize what that phrase means biblically. I'm not going to get into that tonight. I just challenge you to go and look up what that phrase means and who that phrase was referring to. I'll let you do a little research. Nobody gonna answer that, huh? I understand. I get it. I understand why you want to answer. I get it. Maybe you got to ponder it another 45, 55 years. Maybe that's what it is. but I'm going to bring it out because I want you to think about in your self-awareness, in your process of learning about yourself, that you get real about what that phrase even means to you. Because if part of you, if part of you is thinking, well, when I say God-fearing, that means I won't have sex till I'm married. How is he supposed to know that? How is he supposed to know what you really mean is I'm celibate? Which brings me to the obvious question, why don't you just communicate when the conversation is presented? Oh, by the way, I'm celibate. And I intend to be celibate until ... Now, in my 9.5 years of being single, yes, I have had women point blank, and they weren't all Christians, point blank tell me, oh, by the way, Gabe, I'm celibate until I get married. Now, notice the phrase at the end, until I get married. Because one of the confusions, and I'm speaking as a man, I got my brother who can back me up because he was single until he got married. Just less than a year ago, he can back me up. Now, be careful, brother. You back me up because you are married now. Be careful. The reality of it is, from my perspective, you would probably think, well, Gabe, just assume I mean celibate. And though I'm not going to tell my business, I can tell you from conversation, not anything done, from conversation, you talk to somebody long enough, you start realizing that celibacy and marriage is not exactly what they mean by God-fearing. Some have even been honest to tell me, see, I've gotten answers to these questions because I asked them. Some have been even honest to tell me, well, Gabe, I'm not saying that I won't do something until marriage. I actually say that because I got a lot of men coming at me. Uh-oh, that's a whole nother can of worms. That's a whole nother can of worms. Fellas, that brings me to you. You know I gotta come to us, fellas. I can't avoid us. See, fellas, there are women who are very open. I know, I talk to them. There are women who are very clear. There are women who are willing to be honest, but just not with you. Now, I told you they're honest with me, but they're not honest with you, fellas. And the reason why they put on wedding rings and they're not married. I'm not saying that that's right, because technically that's a lie. And if you're a Christian, don't do that. That's a lie. I understand why you do it. I'm not judging you, but I'm just saying if you're putting on a wedding ring to appear to be married and you're not married, you're lying. Now, you know that, and you don't like that I said it, but I already said about the sin part in Exodus chapter 20, so you think I'm going to say about the lying part, and I'm not going to say what it is? No, that's lying. You're lying. You're bearing a false witness. You're saying I'm married or engaged, and you know you're not. But fellas, there is a reason, even though it may be wrong, for doing that. There is a reason for putting on a profile of God-fearing woman, even though she's not necessarily saying that she's going to be celibate until marriage. And the reason why, fellas, is because of us. You don't have to like it, but it's the truth. They're saying it, fellas, because some of us are willing to play this God-fearing game. I attend, and I don't use this word, I say ministry, but I attend church. Oh, you attend church? And you know why you telling her that? Because I know my Christian friends ain't gonna like it, but I don't care. Because you're trying to get her to lower her inhibitions so she will lower their panty draw. Me grown people, you can handle it. You okay? Just if you almost pass out, get you some smelling salts so you can come back to life. But I said what I said. That's what you're trying to do, fellas. So you're even willing to show up and go to the place of worship with her, because really what you're trying to do is get them panty draws down. That's what you're trying to do. I know what you're trying to do. You know what you're trying to do, and some of them know. I hate to say that some of them don't, but some of them do. You're even willing to go and cry at the altar. Oh, Jesus. Oh, Oh, Jesus. And by the time you get out the parking lot, you're inviting her over to your place for evening dinner. I, what did y'all expect me to talk about? What did y'all think I was going to talk about? See, if we're going to talk about self-awareness, fellas, you have a responsibility to get honest with yourself too. There are some women, they don't even go there. They just say, just tell me what you want. Just be honest with me up front. What you after? You never know what you'll get. Now that phrase used to shock the daylights out of me. I know. I was like, huh? What? That's how we doing things? Because I get tired of being lying. Hey, I hear you, sis. I hear you. Don't hurt me. I hear you. I'm listening. Please don't kill me. Don't kill me. But I've had women angrily tell me, I just want a man to tell me the truth. Tell me what he after. And I said, what do you think she's talking about, man? She's talking about sex. She's not talking about, do you want her money? Not really. She's not talking about, do you want to drive her car? Not really. You know what she's talking about? She's talking about, are you going to lay with her? Do I fix that for my Christian friends? Did that sound better? Lay with her? Is that better? No? Okay. Because that's what it comes to. Gabe, I thought you were talking about being single. I am talking about being single. What do you think I'm talking about? Yeah, but no, you're talking about sex. Yeah. Talking about being single. You'll get it in a minute. You'll get it in a minute. You'll understand. And by the way, I do agree, Miss Tammy, it can be a conversation starter. I actually believe it should be a conversation that is had. Before you have that, I know y'all don't like this. I get it. Before you have that alone date where somebody extends an invitation to somebody's residence, I think you got to have and you don't have to get nasty. I'm not into that. I've said this over the years. I don't think that that's necessary for grown people. Like, why you got to talk nasty? Maybe I'm being approved. Well, then I'm just approved. Call me approved then. I don't think you got to get into positions and all of this nonsense. How long you like it? Huh? No, what is that? That's stupid. We too old for that. But you do have to have a conversation at the very least where, okay, lay out to me where you stand on full marriage, not until marriage, something. Especially if there's going to be an alone date. And I'm not saying that men and women cannot be alone. What I'm saying is, if you know, now think about what I said literally 10 minutes ago, that the attraction, that the heat is on the street. No, it ain't on the streets. On the streets. The heat is going on inside here. If you know that heat is burning, that the person sitting across from you and you've had wonderful conversations with, and there's some heat, you know that, is anybody going to be honest on this thing? That you know that there's attraction there. You're not ready to get, I told you, you're not ready to get married. But you know, there's some heat. There's a furnace. There's a furnace burning on the inside. I can say more there, but I'm going to move on. If you know that there's something burning on the inside, and this person extends an invitation to you, or you extend an invitation to them, an invitation that could lead to you being alone privately, it is in everybody's best interest to have a conversation. And whatever you do, you're grown people. I'm not judging you. And I've said this directly to people. Like I'm not saying something that I haven't said before directly. on the phone or whatever the case may be. Usually on the phone. But anyway, I'm just saying, be adult. And then define your terms. What do you mean by being adult? What do you mean by God-fearing? What do you mean when you say these things? As Miss Terry said, a conversation starter. Now, some may feel like that's too early, but whenever you feel comfortable, you want to be clear, especially if you know that there is heat or attraction. Now, for those of you who need me to break down a little bit, I'm only going to do a little bit. If you find yourself moving away from a conversation, whether in person, via text message, video chat, on the phone, typewriter, I don't care how you do it, email, if you walk away from a conversation and you think about that person, y'all don't need me to say it any deeper, right? And you're not thinking, oh, holy night, the night when Christ was born. You're not thinking. So y'all gonna make me do this to you. Y'all thinking more like Marvin Gaye. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. Gay Christians don't think that way. I don't know what broadcast you're watching. And I don't know who you think you're watching. But there are Christians who walk away from conversations, men and women. Let's get it on. Oh, let's get it on. I'm moving on. I'm just saying. Some of y'all Christians get on my nerves. I love y'all, though. Y'all my brothers and sisters, but y'all get on my nerves. Again, men and women, I'm not telling y'all just put all your business in the streets. Listen to me, because I don't do that. What I'm saying is be an adult, for goodness sake. If you know you've had one or two conversations, and sometimes they happen right away. Look, I know y'all don't want to hear that, but attraction is powerful. Don't tell me no attraction, because I'll debunk that nonsense. I'm talking about the human attraction that God put in human beings. I know you don't like that. But God put it there. And if he didn't put it there, I wouldn't be sitting here, nor would you, nor would my parents who created me, nor would my son when his mother and I, let's get it. And I hope he's not watching this. But the fact is, if you're watching, son, I looked at your mother and we got married. Now, I'm going to say something about me personally, because I can. I was married 3 times. I was married multiple times. And I had premarital sex in those situations. Are you okay? Did you pass out? Are you going to die? Now, I'm not suggesting that was right. It wasn't. I've already said that. But the fact is, when you start spending time with somebody alone, you're not singing. Never mind. Gay, I know. I know. And the Lord didn't kill me. Isn't it amazing? He didn't throw me away. Shocking. And I get a sneaky suspicion I'm not the only one who's done that. And if you didn't do it, I truly, personally applaud you. I really do. I really do. You don't even know how much respect I have for you. I do. I have the utmost respect for you. And I do know people who were virgins when they got married. I do. It is actually possible. It doesn't change what I said, but it is possible. And for those who were married before and are divorced or they're widows, if you opt for celibacy till you get married, what do you want me to say? Boo? No. I applaud you. I absolutely do. So what do you want to do? Here's the reality, though. Yeah, indeed. But brother, they're not singing that Jesus on the main line. They're singing something else. They're not singing Jesus on the main line. They're not singing Jesus on the main. Anyway, call him up. Tell him what you want. Oh Lord. Anyway, now why is this a dominant conversation? Because it's not the biggest part of this, but it is the thing that gets highlighted the most. And I know you thought I left you alone, but I didn't. The reason why men get highlighted the most is because of us. Not because women don't want to have lovely relations. I hope you've been listening, because I never said that. It's because men, we make it dominant. Because we make sex dominant. Because we make it dominant, then we put women who are the ones being pursued. See, men, we got to be honest about something. Because we make sex a dominant thing. And I hate to admit this, even in my generation, but sex is still some kind of marker of manhood. It still is. And that's unfortunate, because as much as we've grown, or we like to think we've grown as a society, sex is still for a man. And as a matter of fact, what's even worse now is women have taken it on as their badge of honor. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. Not every woman, again, but there are women out there who are my age and older who have taken it on as a badge of honor. I know, because they told me. Gabe, I can outdo any man. I'm not saying that I do, but I can outdo any man. I can have you all. I mean, I'll literally have women. Now, people can tell people, I mean, you got to understand, people are really honest with me. It's a strange thing sometimes, because I'm like, maybe you should lie to me a little bit. Like, just no, people realize I'm somebody they can trust, so they tell me all kinds of stuff. I've had women boast to me about being able to bring me to their knees. And given what I've learned in the last almost 10 years, I believe them. I believe them. I absolutely believe them. I believe them. I believe that those women use their womanly wiles. I know y'all ain't heard that for 50 years, but they use whatever they got. I'm not gonna, point out nothing, but they use their faculties. Y'all gonna make me say something, I'm gonna get in trouble with YouTube and Facebook. But they use their skills, whatever y'all think that means, I'm sure it's what it means. And they broke men down, broke them down. Now, for some of you thinking, I sure wish a man would do that to me. No, a woman would do that to me. No, you don't. No, you don't. You think you want a woman to do that to you. No, you don't. Because it's just as dogged as a man doing it. It's just as dogged, it's just as rude and disrespectful when a man does it. When he promises to marry her and she lowers her inhibition. So she lowers her inhibitions, and then he gets what he wants. He conquers. It's literally a word that is used among men. Man, I conquered that one the other night. Oh, you did? Oh, man, I conquered it. She is not an army. This is not a battle. But men will speak in terms of conquering. I beat it up. I knocked it out. Man, I tore it to pieces. Good Lord. Is that woman still alive? Yeah, she's alive. Well, every term you just used sound like you're a murderer. And now women are talking like that. Men, what did we do? It's our fault. It's our fault. We made sex some kind of badge of honor, and then we are upset when women who are ambitious, I'm coming from you ladies, who are ambitious say, okay, well, I got my career, 6 figures, I got my ideal house, I got my ideal car, ain't no good men out there anyway, so let me go out here and have me some fun. And she's betting eyelashes and she's smiling and she's overly flirting. And that brother's just swooning because he thinks he's conquering and she's conquering him. And she tossed him to the side and he all whooped. I said it. So now he contacted her and she won't return his calls because she on to the next one. And you can call her whatever you want, whatever you call her, you got to call him. That's only fair, right? So if you're going to call her H-O-E, excuse me, you got to call him that too. If you're going to say she's W-H-O-R-E, well, you got to call him that too. I mean, if we're going to do it, then we got to do it. Men, we got to own this. I think we really got to own this one, man. Now, if you got a difference of opinion, I'm willing to hear it. But men, I think we got to own this one. We made sex a prize or a victory, I should say. And because we made it a victory, eventually women start copping the game. And for some who wanted to win too, because they want to win, they start playing the game. And they start winning or losing, depends on who you talk to. And fellas, I think we're going to have to own this. I really do. How do we own this, fellas? We got to get honest about our sexuality. What are we really about? If it's just purely sex, we don't even want to have a conversation. We really don't care who she is, what she's up against, what she's going through. We could care less what's going on, if she's got children or grandchildren, what's her financial situation. We definitely don't want to know that because we don't want to ask her for money. We don't care if her car breaks down. We don't care if she got fired from her job. We don't care. Why are we then mad when we hear that women don't care men about us in that way? In the general sense, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying we got to get real about this. We played women. We didn't care what they were up against. We didn't care that some man ran through her life and didn't give a rip about her. And then here we come because she's pretty and she's shapely or whatever. Let me not do that. If I get into a list and you go, that's your list. Y'all don't be listening. So whatever you like, men, so you saw her and you came for her. Did you bother to think, then, that maybe she presented herself in the way that will be alluring to you because she's broken? Did you ever bother to think that the reason why you see all of that up there and all of this right here and all of that's going on is because she's over the top, the nails are this long and the eyelashes are longer because she's trying to get attention because she might be broken? She might be hurting? Did you ever stop to think, man, that's not somebody you lay with, that's somebody you pray for? Did you ever bother to think that not every woman is somebody you should lay with? Not because she's got some STD. Here, let's turn the corner. Y'all not gonna like it. I just had this conversation the other day, I can't remember. Do y'all not understand that there are people out there who are suffering with mental health issues? Men and women. Now I'm talking to both of us. Y'all don't see my job. Thank the Lord for putting me on this job. Taught me this. Because I've said this to a few people, even my brother. There are people who look, quote, unquote, normal. Well, guess what? They're on dating sites. Well, guess what? They are showing up to clubs. Guess what? They're walking up to you ladies at the grocery store. Guess what, men? They're smiling at you and flirting with you in the line at Walmart. They've had one trauma after another, from molestations to abuses to their husbands or boyfriends, whatever, cheating on women. There are men who have been beat up and beat down and turned inside out by women. I shared with you my own situation so that you can understand that there are men out there who have been put through the ringer and it wasn't their fault. And ladies, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, it started with their mamas. It didn't start with their ex-wife. It started with their mamas. It started with their aunties. It started with Big Mama. It started with Medea. Oh, goodness gracious. Y'all don't want to face this. So when he come at you and you trying to figure out whether he gonna be the one, you might want to have a conversation and find out how his relationship was with his mama. You might want to find out if he's ever had a healthy interaction with a woman ever in his life. I know I'm supposed to be talking balance here, but let me just help my sisters out when it comes to your resolution to get into a relationship. What if he never had a good relationship with a woman ever? And so the only reason why he want to bed you, dear, is because that's all he know how to do. And thanks to the way God created us, you don't even have to have no information on that. You put it right there. You move around and you're done. Now, you know I can't do any more than that. You don't need me to. You know what I'm talking about. He didn't have to have nobody teach him that. He can do that naturally. But listen to your problems. He can't do that naturally. Be empathetic. He doesn't know how to do that. He was never challenged and taught how to do it. I'm literally teaching my 15-year-old son how to care about people beyond himself and starting with his mother. Don't make me preach it. I'm just supposed to be talking. Because I'm responsible for him being able to look at his mother empathetically. And I can tell you that just a few years ago, that young man struggled with that. But now he's saying, I guess I see what my mother is going through. I don't even know if she's watching, but I want you to know if you're watching, he's now starting to get the point. And he's 15. So ladies, I know you don't want to lose the opportunity of a possible prospect, so you just try to just wade through it. Gabe might be saying something that makes sense, and he is talking about men, and he's a man, but I don't want to know if he's bipolar, but every time he says things, oh, I'm going to get in trouble. But every time he says things like, I get so angry that I black out, I just try to get past it because he's cute, because he's tall, dark, and handsome. That man is describing bipolar to you. He's literally telling you he is probably undiagnosed, but he's bipolar. That's what he's telling you. And you don't want to hear it because he's tall, dark, and handsome. You're going to just translate, well, he's protective. No, that man is struggling with a mental health disorder. He's probably bipolar. How do I know? Because I work in the mental health field and I deal with and women who are bipolar, and guess what they tell me? Now, in the business, this is not the legal term, but they call it flashing out. That's what young people are calling it. They get so angry that they just explode. And this man is sitting across from you at the restaurant of your choice, and you're eating that lobster tail or whatever you ordered, and you're just smiling because he's driving a nice car and he has a nice job. But he's also, as the conversation is going on, his mouth is loosening up, and he's beginning to share with you, and he says to you, yes, you are in a relationship, she would make me angry, oh baby, I would never make you angry. You already called it baby. I would never make you angry. Yeah, I would get so angry sometimes because she would be accusing me of cheating, and I just want you to know I didn't cheat. Oh, I understand because my ex, you're not even listening. He says things like, and I got so angry one time, I really didn't mean to do it, but I didn't hit her. I didn't hit her, but I picked up a chair and I threw it against the wall. That's extreme. And your red flag didn't shoot up because you're so enamored And you figure your personality is so winning that you don't have to ask a few more questions. You figure, oh, well, she really must have made him mad. But I'll never do that because I'm so peaceful. I'm so drama free. Oh, I'm messing with everybody today. I'm so drama free, so I don't have to worry about if I'm going to upset him. Like, I'm just going to slow down a minute because I know some of y'all brains are trying to catch up because you've sat across from somebody like that. Maybe you already are in a semi relationship with somebody like that as we speak. As we speak. So I'm just going to slow down a little bit. I'm going to give you an opportunity to start processing some of those dates, some of those phone conversations. Maybe the reason why you're struggling is because I'm actually describing you. Now, I started with talking about self awareness. Ladies suffer with bipolarism as well. It's a diagnosis that's most men true, but we have females who are bipolar. And sometimes they are worse than men. Doo-doo-doo. I'm not going to rush on. I need you to get this. I need you to get this. You need you to get this. Excuse me for a second. My apologies. My allergies acted up on me a little bit. I didn't want to be rude. I need y'all to understand this. Here's another one, borderline personality disorder. I'm using the official term, borderline personality disorder. Look it up. Somebody post it so everybody can see it. Look up an article, FMD, borderline personality disorder. Somebody get it from me. Post it. Now, let me use the word we use. A narcissist. That's the word we use on the streets. But in the mental health field, a borderline personality disorder. It's all about, as a person who uses social media, man, I know this is, I know it. I can feel the temperature rise. I get really concerned when I'm reading posts on Instagram, on Facebook, and otherwise. All eyes on me. I get really, really, really concerned. You don't even realize what you sound like. And if you don't like what I'm saying, look up borderline personality disorder. Yeah, that's not me. Go look it up. Don't tell me what it is or what it isn't. I'm telling you, go look it up. I get really, really, really concerned. It's one thing to do things for yourself, but I get really, really concerned. Now, ladies, they're going to come to you again when I see all of this about self care, self care, self care. Watch this. I'm going to break this down for you. Let me say Jane Doe. She was in a relationship, let's say 20 years. She was married. She was married for 20 years. John Doe, her husband, was neglectful, didn't pay attention to her. She wanted to travel. She wanted to walk on a white sandy beach with her husband and cuddle. She wanted to do all of those things. She wanted to sip Mai Tais. She's a foodie. She really wanted to have this, let's just be honest, almost storybook wedding. No, I'm not saying she was unrealistic, but she wanted to have a storybook type of marriage. John Doe was ambitious, and hey, I got to pay for it. And time went on. They stopped talking to each other. The relationship eroded. They got a divorce. She comes out of that relationship. She takes care of some financial business. And but the goal is to go to the white sandy beach, to get that Mai Tai, and to eat that food, right? She tells all her friends, men and women, and everybody says, girl, go get it. You deserve it. Sometimes I wonder if people listen to themselves. You deserve it. And she does it. She manages her money, or she does it whatever way she needs to do it. And she finds that white sandy beach, and she gets that Mai Tai, and she walks, and she eats shrimp, and she eats lobster. And she smiles because she beat herself up in the gym to drop that dead weight. I know, ladies, that's what y'all call it when you go through a divorce. She drops that dead weight. Y'all, I tell y'all, listen. Y'all be talking to me, I listen. So she drops that dead weight, not just John Doe, but she drops that weight she gained when she was worried, when she was stressed. She got a counselor along the way, and the counselor said, "Oh, I agree. Go do your self-care. There are some things on my job I don't necessarily agree with, but we won't talk about that tonight." So she does this self-care trip. She puts out however much it costs to go. It's her money. It's her business. She goes, and she's sitting there, and nobody's there. She cries. She weeps because she thinks about her marriage. It's over. It's already been 6 months, but you know, okay, right? It's all good. But she did it because she felt unappreciated. That's that first one. And now, 2, 3, 10 years of being single, trip after trip, cruise. I've been on a cruise. I have no issue with a cruise. Cruises. She's got her female friends. And so she's taking her children, she's taking her grandchildren, she's taking some co-workers, she's taking everybody she can find. The only one that she hasn't had with her is a him. And sometime on that trip, when she's drinking the Mai Tais with friends or family members, when she's eating the lobster and the oxtails or whatever you want to call it, she'll cry. She's a big girl now. But 10, 15 trips later, over the last 10 years, self-care, self-focus, all eyes on me, I am the table. The truth of the matter is, she now can't even tell anybody she's hurting because there's no him. There's no him. Oh, she gets on a dating site and she lists, I love to travel. I want to walk on a sandy beach with him, but there's no him. Every man she meets, this one is okay. This one is not bad. This one even says, I might take a trip like that. But he works 2 or 3 jobs, and that looks way too familiar to her. Now, granted, she has to work 2 or 3 jobs to take those trips. But we're not going to talk about that right now, right? We're not going to talk about that, right? See, her self-awareness is really low because to be able to take those trips and to take her children and her grandchildren, to be able to go with her friends, she's got to work all those jobs to be able to pay for it. On top of the house, on top of the car that she also bought for herself because, again, she felt undervalued 10 years ago. So she's now built this life behind what she went through that requires her. No, okay, she just really loves to travel. Okay, cool. Or she's got to keep up the appearance. See, it's become an issue of appearance now. Oh, ain't nobody gonna be honest with me, but I'll be honest with you. It's become an issue of appearance. You see, now she's got to keep taking those trips because every year everybody's asking her what's the next trip. See, it's self-care. It's I know my worth. Oh, I know I'm hitting all those phrases that nobody wants me to hit, but I'm gonna hit every last one of them because I'm gonna ask you this question on every last one of them. What in the world does all of that mean when it comes to going from being single to being in a relationship? She paid for her trips. I'm not hating. She took herself. She paid for others to go. But none of that healed her. None of that made her better. Oh, she felt better when she was able to cry as she walked, put her toes in the white sandy beach. As she purchased more and more things. You know, I've had so many conversations. It's amazing how, and there's anybody that's watching me that I've had conversations with, and I say something that sounds familiar, don't self-identify, just listen. It's amazing to me the combination of relationship failure and shopaholic. Relationship failure and workaholic. It's amazing to me, watch this now, relationship failure and becoming way too involved in your grown children's lives. You're almost a momaholic, which I know you never heard before because I just coined that phrase right now. You want to know why I'm saying it? Because I've actually had grown women who've got almost grown grandchildren as old as my son, who will admit to me in the process of the conversation, you know, maybe I really should bag up out of my kids' life. I think I'm a little too much in their life. And what subject do you think we're typically talking about when they make that kind of confession? You guessed it, dating and getting into a relationship. Now, it ends up going one of two ways. You already know, but I'm going to say it. Well, he just got to deal with it. My children are my life. My children are my life. My children are my life. You're not hearing me. You literally say, my children are my life. And you don't know why a man will not touch you beyond sex. Do y'all want me to help you in 2025 or do y'all want me to end the broadcast? Do you want me to help you? If you say, my children are my life, and he's just going to have to deal with it, he does deal with it. You just don't like how he deals with it. He ghosts you. Y'all know what I'm saying is true. I know you don't like it, but he ghosts you. Man, I hate when men ghost me. You don't stop and do some self-check. You don't stop and get aware that you told him with no uncertain terms, your children are your life. But Gabe, you know, I mean, I can make room for him. Do you know I'm a grown man? I'm 50 years old. And if somebody tells me they're going to make room for me, you can take a flying leap off a tall building. I said it. I didn't even stutter. Look at that. Look, my hand ain't even shaking. Look at how clean that is. Look at how clean it is. My hand is, I'm not nervous at all. I've heard that phrase 1,000 times in 9.5 years. My children are not a part of my life. They are my life. And some of you, your pets are your life. Your dog is your life. Your cat is your life. Well, you don't have no. I got enough love for my children and my man. I know you're saying that, but for those of you who want to get married and you are Christian, where does the Bible say your children and your spouse? Somebody put that book, chapter, and verse, please. I'm awake. Leave mother and father and be husband, wife, children. Where's it? Where's it? Somebody tell me where it's at. Where's it? The only relationship we're supposed to cleave to, the only one, is husband and wife. That's literally the only relationship in the Bible that we're supposed to cleave to. It's the only one. Now, Gabe, I'm not a Christian. Okay, but then you got to set your value system. And if your children is your life, wait a minute, I don't want to just deal with the parent thing. How about my job? I got goals. In my last relationship, she didn't or he didn't want to do this, and this, and I got stuff I'm trying to do. I mean, I'll worry about it later, but you're on a dating site or you're putting out feelers and you smiling, you show warming up to that flirting, and you're giving off the impression you want some kind of relationship, but you're also saying out of your mouth, there is literally no room for a healthy, use that word, relationship. There is no room for a healthy relationship because what I know and where I failed is that my relationship really was not the center of my focus. It was supposed to be my relationship with God, and according to Scripture, my relationship with life. That's literally Bible. There is no place where job is supposed to take precedent over human relationship. Woo! There is nowhere in Scripture, Christian men and women, where your desire to make money to get your paper is supposed to trump relationship between God and people. I ain't even going to talk about dating. Let's just talk about your interaction with God's people, human beings. You don't realize you literally put making money and your paper and your bottom line, and then you have the nerve to pray to God, who said, how can you say you love God whom you have not seen and hate your brother? And ladies, you want to marry a brother in Christ if you're a Christian, and yet God is looking at your behavior, and your behavior looks like hate. Your behavior signals that, yeah, you'll value him to walking on the sandy beach and to cuddling by a bonfire. That's about it. Because if he's not about your agenda and building your life and doing what you want, you can skip him and God knows my heart. Exactly. God knows your heart. That's why you still single, or that's why you keep dealing with those dudes. You ain't nothing but jerks. I'm gonna keep talking till somebody get mad enough to tell me to stop. But the reality of it is, and I still might not stop, because I got a lot to say. And men, you ain't no better. Your ambition, men, women took on. You said it was about ambition. Oh, I got one for you too, fellas. Your ambition. Your ambition is really what killed your marriage. You don't want to be honest. Your ambition is what killed the relationship between you and your fiance. You don't want to be honest. So you go for a while, you think you make the financial place you want to make. And so now you put out the feelers for a relationship, right, fellas? Right, John Doe? Let's go back to John Doe. You've been single 10 years too now, John Doe. You start, now you're 55 years old, John Doe. You start to feel that loneliness. So you jump on a dating site as well. And you talk about your ambition. Because it's really what your life is. You are, you get in trouble. Okay, I will. You're married to your ambition. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. You're married to your ambition, John Doe, Jane Doe. You're married to your ambition. You're sleeping with your ambition. You're having lovely relations with your ambition. See, the reason why you're walking on sandy beaches and drinking Mai Tai is not because of self-care. That was when you came out of the relationship. No, in truth, you're doing it because of ambition. As a matter of fact, those vacations, if you're honest, are almost more work. I've heard y'all tell me you do more work going on vacation than you do vacationing. Of course you do, because you're married to your ambition and you're cheap. Some of you who are married who are watching me, because you're curious, let me talk to y'all so you can keep your marriage. You need to stop for a second and ask yourself, are you married to your ambition? Now that's just for my married couples who might have tuned in, who wanted to see. I gave a little something for you. I know this stuff. I know this stuff is real. I know it's real. You're married to your ambition. So fellas, in particular, you put out there on your profiles about your ambition. Hey, look, I work long days I'm just looking for somebody to be in my life, you know, and, or you get women who will, okay, and fellas, I know y'all ain't gonna like this, but the women who step up are the women who will be like, oh, cool. Why? Because she's married to her ambition as well. So she's thinking, oh, good, he won't stop me from my pursuit. We can build together. Hey, let me teach y'all something y'all don't get. That man will almost always end up rejecting her. And y'all be confused. You're like, man, we could have built together. We could have built something. I mean, he was ambitious. I'm ambitious. Look, I read y'all, I talk to y'all. Man, we both ambitious. Let's go get it. Let's go make this thing. Let's go make it happen. And then y'all can't figure out why those relationships don't last. Because here's the thing, fellas. It's one thing to be ambitious. It's another thing to be self-aware that you are married to your ambition. And if you're going to bring somebody in, you got to let her come into your ambition. You got to let her be a part of your ambition. Man, dude, you do need somebody just as driven as you. But she needs to be partnered with you in your ambitious pursuits. That's the only way it's going to work. You want an actual literal example of this right now? The Mans. Both of those people are talented. Both of those people can sing and talk and whatever. And they are both ambitious. And they work together. Now they have talked openly about when they didn't work together. But they are both ambitious. And from my 1,000 feet away, they have what looks like a healthy, wonderful relationship. Now, it wasn't always, but they had to come to grips with themselves as individuals so that their marriage can truly not just be birthing children. They got plenty of them, but so that they can truly be the couple that they can be. They're both ambitious. But the real truth being, you go and get the non-ambitious woman, and then the non-ambitious woman is sitting over in a corner thinking you don't like her. She doesn't know what to do with you. You cook, you clean, because that's what you want to do. Ladies, you may be that way, but I don't necessarily recommend you date and marry, if you choose to marry, an ambitious man. I don't think you should, but then I can cook and clean. Yeah. You know what happens with an ambitious man? He dates his ambition. For example, just because you may not be ultra ambitious doesn't mean you don't want to take that trip too. You wouldn't mind going on a cruise as well. I'm not saying that others don't want to go on cruises, not just ambitious people. No, I think a cruise is a wonderful thing. And I'm actually not ultra ambitious, which probably is not what some people wanted to hear. I'm just not. I'm just not. So the reality of it is, to the lady who is not ambitious, she really wants to be Susie Homemaker, nothing wrong with that. She's thinking, oh no, what he needs is someone like me. On the surface, yes, it does appear that way. But you know what happens? He runs you over. You become his floor mat. You are a piece of something. You're a part of something, of some bigger thing. So, okay, let me check my boxes. Okay, successful business I'm running, check. Pretty woman on my arm, check. That would be you, Susie Homemaker. Pretty woman on my arm, seen and not heard, check. 2 children, check. Big house, sizable house, check. 3-car garage, check. Power tools, check. Hang out with my boys on Friday nights, check. Oh man, don't worry about her. She gonna make sure we got our snacks. Oh man, man, it's 12 o'clock in the morning. Man, don't we gotta go? Oh man, don't worry about her. She sleep. No, she not. She can't sleep because you down there with your boys in your man cave or you upstairs wherever you are, laughing loud and rude because you're drunk. Hey, Christians don't drink. Again, I don't understand. I don't understand Christians. I don't know how y'all live. I don't. Christians drink. Get over yourself. And so after a while, John Doe finds himself separated again because her friends told her, you know, he's using you as a doormat. As a matter of fact, let me make it worse. John Doe, you know they're right because the ones who really turn you on are ambitious, but you don't want to marry them because your pride is so big, you can't even fathom marrying a woman whose ambition might cause her to look more successful than you. You'll cheat on your wife with her, with the ambitious woman, but you're not going to marry her because you have no self-awareness. So that means if you're not aware of yourself, how could you possibly truly learn anybody else? And I'm almost done. Are y'all getting my point? You want to get into a relationship in 2025? Cool. But if you are not willing to stop and deal with your own sexuality, and I mean from head to toe, who you are, yeah, what you like, that's all in there too, head to toe. How often you want it, under what circumstance you want it. I'm not getting into detail. If you're not willing to stop and get honest about that piece, and then, now let me run through a few of these and I'm done. And then get honest about the philosophy, the ideology of your life. Again, ambition. And I'm picking on ambition because I think that is the result of pride, right? So ambitious people tend to be prideful people. They tend to be people who won't listen to counsel. Because if you're not speaking to their ambition, Stephen A. Smith talks openly about this, so I can. Here's my example. He told in a recent interview I watched on YouTube, he said, I work 330 days a year. Because they were asking him about relationships. Now, Stephen A. Smith has 2 daughters. Stephen A. Smith considers himself to be a Christian. Stephen A. Smith has 2 daughters. Y'all see where I'm going? Everything I've said to you, I'm giving you an example now. He is a highly successful business. He is a mogul. Let's just be honest. Not just ESPN. Now he's got his own podcast, booked, New York's bestseller book, straight shooter, etc., etc. Whether you like him, even know who he is, you can look him up. He told the interviewer, self-aware, I'm trying to give you an example here. He said, you know what? I work 330 days a year. I just don't have the time to get married. Even my daughters get upset with me because I miss all those important days. But now I just said your philosophy. But here's his philosophy. Here's his ideology. I miss those days so that I can provide the kind of life that I want them to have. Now, whether you agree with that or not, I'm not even upset with you about your ambitions. I'm not upset with you about the life you're building for you or you've built for you. I'm just laying it out so you can hear it. Because I know women who work as much or more than he does. School teachers, principals. Yeah, is this too plain? How about people in the medical field, doctors, nurses? When do you not work? You got to work even on holidays. He worked at 330 out of 360. Y'all almost never get time off. Almost never. Almost never. And you know what I'm telling you is true. I work in mental health. I can work 7 days a week. And some of my coworkers work 7 days a week. And most of them, guess what? Are single. Wonderful individuals, truly. And I've been there for almost 3 years. See what they said? I work 330 days a year. Because philosophically speaking, in his mind, because he grew up poor, he decided, now he's long since made enough money, he'll never be broke again. But in his head, he's at the top of his game. So, hey, he's got to keep it up. He's got to keep it up. Gabe, what are you telling me? Philosophically, this is my last thing, but I'm giving you in pieces. I can give you Jamie Foxx. I gave you my coworkers, mostly all female, practically all female. So, Gabe, what do you want me to do? I want you to do what your life dictates for you to do. I'll explain. If your life is intentionally being lived where you are working on purpose 12-hour days, don't get into a relationship. Come on. I'm doing it because I'm single and I'm doing it because I have bills to pay. Let me ask a question. How long have you been working like that? 6 months? A year? 5 years? If you've been working like that for more than 5 years, that ain't no because I got bills to pay. That's because you built your life that way. I know you don't like that, but at least if I love you, I'll tell you. The fact of the matter is, you work to keep up your lifestyle. And I'm not mad at you. So you got to work 2 jobs that totals 12, 13, 14 hours a day to maintain your lifestyle, then do that. You are not fit for a relationship. You're not. You're not. You got to squeeze in time for a date. I mean, you gotta tweak your whole schedule. You literally have to take a day off just to be able to go on a 2-hour date. You are not ready for a long-term, exclusive relationship. And you know you're not, but you're lonely. And you think, well, if I could find a man or a woman, a woman who is willing to endure this, then eventually when I retire in like 20 years, in like 10, 15 years, because I got to pay this house off, and I just got another car that I'm financing, and I got 2 kids to put through college, and then I'm going to go back to school, and then I'm going to do, and then I'm going to do, Gabe, stop, because you're hurting me. Gabe, you're making me cry. I'm not making you cry, you are. I'm just listing your own ambitions. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. My dear friend and brother, who's probably, I don't know if he's still watching me or not, he got married this year. And he can tell you, having been single and gotten married, that now, because of his love for his wife, all of his ambitions, all of his intentions, he told me this, he runs through his wife, which sounds like a marriage to me. And he's open. Ultimately, they're Christians, so God is the head, right? But he tells me this. He's open to what she has to say. Oh, he's still here. Well, he can say yes or no. He's open to what his wife has to say about those things that he aspires to do. Write books. What is it? Write books. Pastor, again, in terms of a location. These are all the things. And if she's listening, she already knows these things. You know, If I get married again, yeah, she's going to have to be a part of my decision making. And the Lord is going to guide us in what we do and what I do in regards to the marriage. Because God wants me. Watch this. I know I was talking to unbelievers and believers, but let me hit my Christian friends and get out of here. Because God wants me to honor him in respect to her. And everything else. Here's what God told me as I was eating my dinner. Life does not consist in the abundance of the things that we possess. What profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What would a man give in exchange for his soul? And yeah, that's the soul, the eternal soul, but even in terms of his marriage. Ladies, I'm going to say the same thing to you. And if you're going to work 6 days a week and you're going to work 10, 12-hour shifts because you have a financial goal, then you know what? Be single. I'm not saying don't go on dates. I think you ought to have healthy interactions with men. But don't be sitting there trying to prospect. Fellas, if you know you're going to work like that, what are you doing, man? You're basically telling her you're going to cheat on her with your ambition. But Gabe, I got to work like this. If you do, you do. But don't get into a relationship and then get mad when they don't like you coming home in the wee hours of the night because they miss you and they like you and you have the nerve to say they're jealous. And you know I was doing this before we met. But you gave me the impression, ma'am, you gave me the impression, sir, that once you got married, that the marriage would be the center of your focus. And so therefore you would automatically look to shift your schedule so that I could be significant. That's the impression you gave me when we were talking to each other. And then we started dating. And we even got married. You gave me the impression, sir, you gave me the impression, ma'am, that your financial ambitions were nothing compared to your love ambition. Woo-hoo. I should say this to Valentine's Day. This is good stuff. So, what kind of relationship are you looking for, singles? Somebody to spend some time with, hang out with. I know my Christian, man, I know. Y'all can't handle stuff like this. I know. I'm almost done. I'm going to let y'all off the hook. What kind of relationship are you looking for? Okay, I want one that the Lord will honor. Okay. I know you just think marriage. Okay. But the Lord, here's what the Bible says. I'm going to help you. Ready? I'm going to give you Bible. Samuel said to Saul, Samuel said to Saul, he said, doesn't God prefer obedience above sacrifice? Some of you got this heavy sacrificial type of relationship thinking. I need to do a lot of broadcasts on this stuff. I really do. The more I talk, the more I realize I'm still not covering it, but I'm not going to keep it all night because I don't want to be here all night. So let me finish up. Some of you have this very sacrificial ideology that everybody should be sacrificing. Everybody should be sacrificing. And to a certain extent in a family, that is true. But for those of you who are Christian, God prefers obedience above sacrifice. And Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians chapter, my brother know where I'm going, 1 Corinthians chapter 7, if you get married, you choose to be given to the things of the flesh. How you might please, now he wrote in the scripture, your wife, and how she might please her husband. And if your intellectual ambitions. I got to get another degree and another degree. If your scholastic ambitions, your economic ambitions, if your paternal and maternal ambitions, I got to be in my kid's life, and I got to be a part of every major decision, and I got to be there for every event, and they can't have Christmas without me, and Thanksgiving without me, and Easter without me, and Hanukkah without me, and 4th of July without me, and it's our family tradition, and we got to always do everything together, we got to go shopping together. If that's your ambitions, leave a romantic relationship alone. That's my advice. That's my advice. But Gabe, aren't you going to give me advice proactively, towards the relationship? I just did. Because if you think about what I'm saying, that means if any of those things you're dealing with, you got to go to the self-awareness. Now, if you're a Christian, you might want to, in all your ways, acknowledge him, right? You want him to help you. Now, if you feel you need to communicate with me because I can give you some way to navigate that, since God took me through that, I can assist you the best I can. But ultimately, it's going to be you and him. It's going to be you and him. And in the process of that, you're going to have to get real about who you are sexually. You're going to have to get real about who you are financially. You're going to have to get real about who you are emotionally. You're going to have to get real about who you are mentally. You're going to have to get real about, my last, and I did it on purpose, physically. I'm going to make one more statement about me personally. I'm very careful of what I say. I will not marry a woman who does not take care of herself. Don't tell me about how much you weigh. Don't tell me about, oh, Gabe, I got all these kind of things going on with me. If you are quick to neglect your physical life, I'm not marrying your spirit. I'm glad you read your scriptures. I'm glad you sing in the choir. I'm glad you are an usher. I'm glad you go to midweek Bible study. But if you don't attend to your physical, I'm not saying be skinny, because anyway, let it alone, Gabe. Okay. But I'm telling you this. Now, I'm not a workout fanatic. I wouldn't mind doing 5 days a week. I do 3. And unfortunately, my darn car just went down. It's kaput. So I'm not going to be able to go to the gym, but I will get out and walk. I will continue to attend to my physical health. I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. It is a silent killer. I do not take medicine. Have not taken medicine since 2017. This is 2025. The only way I can go without taking medicine is to continue to attend. Do you get what I'm saying? How can I get into a romantic relationship with somebody, especially marriage, knowing I have high blood pressure and don't do right by them by doing right by me physically? So I'm telling you now. Again, I'm not anti-plus size. I just want to make that announcement. We can't get into that. But I just want to be clear. One of the things, now I'll marry somebody who may have some emotional things that they're working through, some mental things they're working through. Because they're working through it. So spiritual things, I got them. Financial, we have to talk about it. But physical, you know why I choose that one? Because I can't make anybody work out. I can't make anybody eat right. I can't. And if I got to pull teeth to get her to get up and walk, she may have bad knees. I got bad knees. I sprained my meniscus in my left knee. A bad back. You got to understand, Gabe is 50. This didn't get here for nothing. I got high blood pressure. I got a sprained meniscus in my left knee. I got a bad back. I got weak ankles. And notice I work out 3 times a week. And when I work out, you see my pictures. I'm in there trying to kill myself. Because if I get into another long-term exclusive relationship, I want her to know when I tell her I have high blood pressure and she look at me like, are you going to die on me? I can then tell her, I have no intentions, and here is the things that I am doing. So for you New Year's resolution, I'm not a New Year's resolution person, but for you New Year's resolution people who feel like, Gabe, I don't work too much, I'm emotionally pretty good, I'm not doing too bad there, but you know you're not getting, let me not even say the gym. You don't even have to go to the gym. Start with your diet. Talk to your physician. Ask them what your ideal body weight for your age and height and all of that is, your body mass index, BMI, and then ask them to help you develop a workout plan, a diet plan, and ladies and gentlemen, get started. Men and women. Men, you can die from diabetes, you can die from high blood pressure, just like a stroke, a heart attack, just like anybody else. I'm not talking about Coke bottle. I'm not talking about tall, dark, and handsome. I'm talking about an intentionality to address your health issues before Gabe or anyone like me comes along. It's the one area I know for a fact that if we don't do what we need to do in that area, it signals that we're probably not healthy in one of those other areas. And now, 12-hour days. See how it works? And now, long sleepless nights, because if you're working 12-hour days, you're not sleeping 8 hours a night restfully. The body is not built, especially if you don't work out, especially if you don't eat healthy. If you don't eat healthy and you don't work out and you work long hours, you are ruining yourself. And if you're 50 and up like me, trust me, you are literally working towards a heart attack. And I love you too much not to tell you. I'm done. 2 hours is long enough. I'm gonna have to rest this old voice of mine and some lemon tea for some minute. But we'll be back next Wednesday on the Christian Believers broadcast. I hope I've said some things, I know I have, that you can chew on. You may not like it. You may not like that I was transparent about my own life. I don't know. There's pieces you may not like. You may disagree. I get it. And I'm open to conversate about the things that I said. Again, don't ask me my personal, private business. Beyond what I shared here, don't ask me that. None of your business. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to be mean to you, but I'm not going to tell you. And if you keep pushing because you think you have some special spot with me, then I'll hang up in your face. I'm just being honest because you don't have a right to the information, and I didn't give it here, so I'm not going to give it. Again, I love you. I wish everyone a wonderful 2025. I'm anticipating God doing some serious things. Yes, please pray for me. The gasket blew so that the car's done. Pretty much $2,000 to get an engine, to put in the thing. It's a 22-year-old car. Not going to happen. Okay. So keep me in your prayers. I've been through this before. I'm a trooper. I believe in God. We'll see what he has for me to do. But we're good here. Bills are paid. I love you all. We'll see you next Wednesday. Until that time, I want you to be blessed.